It's the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're both coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. Happy to be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports. And I'll tell you what, we got a lot of it to talk about right up to the minute. We were doing show prep on this one. A lot going on. Final weekend before Christmas, first weekend of the college football playoff. We got NFL games Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Man, it's it's wild. This should be Wednesday because it's wild and wacky. But yeah, we are excited to get into it. Wade's staying in the Christmas season with his holiday sweaters.
If you can guess what this is, you win $10.
I got nothing. Is it South Park related?
No, this is sadly, this is my I like to root for a few winners, but I root for really a lot of losers. And the Everton Football Club in Liverpool, England is they're definitely some losers. And but you still gotta bust them out. They got a cool sweater. But yeah, Goodison Park is where they play.
Okay.
And at least for now, they're getting a new stadium. So they go English Premier League, they go. Some stadiums are old and decrepit. It'd be like walking into a Class A gym, here in TSSAA, and then you walk into a place like where Man United plays, Old Trafford, and it's a palace. So it's kind of neat. But Everton's getting some new digs, so I figured I'd represent kind of before they get ready to move out.
There you go, little throwback Friday action, huh?
Absolutely.
There we go. Excuse me, y'all. I have to fix my chair. There. If anybody wants to give me an office chair for Christmas, that would be fantastic, because I'll be sitting on this one and just all of a sudden it'll just
kaput.
Yeah. So big show today. Broken chairs aside, in the second hour, we will be joined by Chris Lowe of ESPN talking a little college football. Again, the 12-team college football playoffs start tonight. We got a game tonight, and they're going to be playing it in the remnants of the snow or in the actual snow. Not sure which. We may be able to get a weather report out of Chris as well. And 3 more games tomorrow, including obviously Tennessee and Ohio State in the nightcap. In the next segment, we will be joined by Belmont graduate LANDEN SECREST, our NBA expert, who has kind of been holding us at arm's length here for the past semester, and now we know why. He was trying to get that sheepskin, finally did so last weekend, and we're going to get caught up on some NBA and his thoughts thereon. So looking forward to that as well. We'll also be talking, again, some Major League Baseball, some NFL, some college football, plenty going on. And in the final segment of the show, Wade rolls out his wonder slate as he and I will try to pick a handful of college football games against the spread. And man, I need some help. If anybody's got any ideas, feel free to reach out to me at @MoPatton_sports, because I'm struggling. But looking forward to trying to see what the college football playoffs and some of these college bowl games over the next few days look like as well.
So we'll get to sweat the Tulane Florida game. Both of us on the Gators by 14 in that one. We'll get to sweat that one as the game unfolds. They're set to kick off at 2:30. But
yeah, is that Ohio Jack State game over with yet?
27-14. No, excuse me, 30-14. Ohio just kicks a field goal, so they're up reasonably. I'm gonna go ahead. The gambling gods are a fickle breed, so I'm just gonna watch my mouth at this moment.
That may be
Ohio's
a good
winning
idea.
at the moment.
That may be a good idea. Well, yeah, we got plenty again going on, and so let's go ahead and get into it with yesterday's results and this weekend's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Lock and load, boys and girls. The Friday rundown is moments away, but first I want to remind you That our Friday rundown is always brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. So contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or visit his website at choosechip.net. That's Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
Girls high school basketball results from last night. Cookeville with a 62-54 win over Loretto. Cornersville down Spring Hill 40-24. Creekwood with a 40-32 victory over Dixon County. It was Hampshire 45, Lewis County 38. Stand up, Lady Hawks.
Come on.
Harpeth with a 43-22 win over Fairview. It was Harpeth Hall 71, Harrison County, Kentucky 39. Hollow Rock Brewston with a 40-29 win over Montgomery Central. Marshall County 59, Centennial 5. Nashville Christian 44, Pineville, Kentucky 4. A score we gave you yesterday. It was an afternoon matinee, apparently. Oakland with a 47-43 win over South Gibson. Riverdale defeated Thomas Nelson of Kentucky 51-40. It was Rockvale 47, Ezel Harding 41. Trinity Christian with a 67-38 win over Kenwood. Don't want to short you, Trinity. Watertown 54, Clay County of Kentucky 45, and Rossview with a 57-26 win over West Creek.
Boys action from last night. Let's go to Creekwood, who was victorious over Dixon County. 40-32 was that final last night. Again, Creekwood knocking off Dixon County. Lewis County was a 65-22 victor versus Hampshire. It was Heritage on top of Valor Collegiate, 69-30. Montgomery Central downing Hollow Rock Brewston, 65-53. Jackson Christian, 65. Kenwood, 48. Loretto staying hot, rolling, doing all the things well. They pick up a 64-50 win versus Corbin, Kentucky. It was Oak Ridge 63, Page 53. Ezel Harding a winner, 70-54 over Rockvale. Faulkner, Mississippi put up 50, just 36 for Watertown as the Mississippi squad gets our boys in Watertown there. And finally, capping our boys scoreboard from last night, it was Wayne County 77, Culleoka 47.
In women's basketball action from Thursday night, Valdosta State with a 64-50 win over Trevecca. Southern Indiana down Tennessee State 74-56 in Ohio Valley Conference action. Vanderbilt's women improved to 11-1 with an 80-66 win at Dayton. On the men's side, Valdosta completed the sweep of Trevecca 90-84. Middle Tennessee State in a thriller 67-65 over visiting Lipscomb down at the Glass House. UC Irvine downs Belmont at the Kirby Event Center 92-84. And again, in Ohio Valley Conference action, TSU battles late but comes up short at Southern Indiana 77-75. NBA action from last night. We're going to talk more about this one with Landon SECREST here in the next segment. Memphis 144, Golden State 93. And in overtime, the Preds fall to visiting Pittsburgh 5-4. NFL Thursday night action, the Chargers with a 34-27 win over the Denver Broncos.
The defensive struggle I predicted, right? Yesterday. What a game. That's going to be fun to talk about a little bit later. Let's go to the schedule. Double headers. This game just tipping off right here in Pulaski at the Bobcat Christmas Classic. Summertown is meeting Creekwood. Again, tipping off at 2 p.m. Now let's go and wind the clock to 6 o'clock for all these tip-offs. Good Pasture is at Clarksville Academy. Ezel Harding will be at DCA. Zion Christian traveling to Dixon Academy. McGavick will be at East Nashville. Columbia Central is traveling to Giles County. We'll be broadcasting that one on Pulaski Citizen Live. I am not stepping foot in Hardin Mayfield Gymnasium wearing this sweater. I would burn alive, but we will be broadcasting. So tune into that one on PulaskiCitizen.com. Wilson Central is at Green Hill tonight. Camden Central traveling to Houston County. Santa Fe is at McEwen. John Overton is at STEM Academy. Fairview traveling to Summit. And a 7 o'clock start time for Macon County, who's at Gallatin.
Multitasking over here. Was that girls basketball that you just did?
That was that doubleheader to start us off.
Okay, cool. All right. Girls basketball action, 10 o'clock. So this one is probably done. Murfreesboro Central and Coffee County played at 10. 12 noon start for Heritage and Joe Burns. Nashville Christian had an opponent at 1 o'clock. We're not sure who. 1 o'clock down at Independence, East Hickman and the host Lady Eagles. So they should be going right now. At 2:30, Blackman and Christ Presbyterian Academy will face off. 3 o'clock starts for Ravenwood and Cheatham County Christian Community and Clarksville. At 3:30, Silverdale is at Franklin Road Academy. At 4 o'clock, Brentwood Academy faces Tullahoma. At 4:30, Page plays Lovett out of Georgia. 5:30 starts for Webb School in Innsworth and for Soddy Daisy and Pearl Cone. At 6, you've got Father Ryan at Girls Prep out of Chattanooga. Also, Huntsville is taking on Lipscomb Academy, and I think Becky Starks told us yesterday that Huntsville had pulled out of that one, but the Lady Mustangs are playing at 6 down at Independence. Also, Rossview is at Mount Juliet at 6. Pope John Paul II is at Portland at 6. Shelbyville and Centennial face each other at 6, and St. Mary's Episcopal takes on University School of Nashville at 6. At 6:30, you've got Chattanooga Christian and Columbia Academy, also Nolensville and Middle Tennessee Christian. 7 o'clock start for Huntsville Lee and Lebanon. 7:30, Maryville Christian and Riverdale face off. Also, we've got Hillsborough taking on Laverne. We don't know a time or a site. And at 6 o'clock on Pulaski Citizen Live, it's Eagleville at Richland.
Should be a good showdown there. 2 good doubleheaders on PCL tonight. Let's go boys basketball action. Some of these could be final because they got started early. At 10 a.m., it was Siegel versus Franklin, followed at 11:30 by Rossview and Riverdale. At 1 p.m., you had Brentwood taking on Laverne. 1:30, Joe Burns versus White House Heritage. At 2:30 p.m., Shelbyville was at Blackman.
Hey, Wade,
yes,
let me interrupt you just a second.
Okay.
Franklin 61, Siegel 57 final.
Bam.
Yeah, Christian Brown, 29 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good effort there and a good win to jumpstart the holiday campaign for most of our squads here. Back to the action at 4:30, Ravenwood taking on Pope John Paul II. At 5 o'clock, you can catch Hendersonville versus Springfield. Out of order slightly, but we got you back now. 4 p.m., you got Franklin Classical at Mount Pleasant. Centennial at Oakland still at 4. Other 4 o'clock games include Cannon County at Lebanon. 4:30, you can catch Liberty Creek versus Clarksville Christian. Also, Beach is taking on Father Ryan. At 5 p.m., Lead Academy traveling to Franklin Road Academy. Marshall County taking on Middle Tennessee Christian. 5:30 tonight, it'll be Franklin Christian versus Battle Creek. 6 p.m. start time as Friendship Christian travels to Mount Juliet Christian. 6 p.m. also, Harlan, Kentucky will play Spring Hill. At 6:30, it'll be Tyner Academy meeting Lipscomb Academy. Should be a good one there. Innsworth is meeting Science Hill at 7 p.m. At 7:30 tonight, Union County, Kentucky versus Smyrna. You also have Stratford at White House, West Creek, who's at Whitehaven, Chattanooga Christian versus Nolensville. At 8 p.m. tonight, also at 8, you can see Silverdale versus Columbia Academy. 8:30 will be Forest at Mount Pleasant. Stewart's Creek is taking on Grundy County. Melrose will be at Lebanon tonight to cap the games we have listed for 8:30. Other games on the docket of varying degrees. We got Tullahoma and Glencliff. Don't have a start time for you on that one, though. We do have Lawson and we do have Loretto, probably in some version of a tournament format because their opponent is yet to be announced. But if you're a fan of one of those teams, I guarantee you know who you're playing. So maybe you can fill us in. And finally, Eagleville again will be at Richland tonight as that concludes our boys score. I'll give you a couple women's basketball scores before we get into our women's basketball schedule before we get into the Saturday schedule. How about that? It'll be Tennessee at Richmond at 1:15 p.m.
That game is at halftime with the Lady Vols leading 47-39, trying to get to 10-0.
A little closer than we would like if you're a Lady Vols fan, but you still got time to bolster that lead again at the break there. Other game tonight, Belmont is at Kentucky. That game tips off at 5 o'clock. You can catch it on ESPN+.
Saturday action, high school basketball, double headers, 12 o'clock start for Madison Academic at Clarksville Academy. At 6, White House faces Clarksville Christian. 6, also at 6, Summertown is at Giles County. Any broadcast plans for that one, Wade, that you know of?
Tomorrow, no Giles coverage. We'll be doing the Richland at Lawrence County game. More on that one to come.
2 o'clock, Richland at Giles County. 1 o'clock, Centennial faces Science Hill tomorrow. Also at 6, you've got Donaldson Christian at Lead Academy, and at 6:30, Springfield is at Gallatin. Girls only games. We got a 12 noon start for Joe Burns and Clarksville. We've got a 6 o'clock start for Bradley Central at Clarksville Christian. Nolensville takes on Columbia Academy at 1. University School of Nashville plays at Davidson Academy. That's a 6 o'clock start. Lipscomb Academy faces East Hickman down at Independence. Not sure on a time there. At 4 o'clock, Chattanooga Christian is at Franklin Road Academy. 1 o'clock start for Silverdale and Goodpasture. 6 o'clock start for Murfreesboro Central and Gordonsville. At 2:30, we've got Macon County and Hendersonville. At 2, we've got Kenwood and Hollow Rock Brewston. 6 o'clock at Independence, Soddy Daisy taking on the host Lady Eagles. Pearl-Cone and Laverne play. We don't have a time for that one. 5:30 tomorrow, it's Ensworth and Lebanon. At 2 o'clock, it's Franklin Christian and Middle Tennessee Christian. Nashville Christian plays sometime, somewhere against somebody tomorrow. We've got a 9 o'clock start for McEwen and Rossview. That's 9 a.m. 3 p.m., Heritage takes on Stratford. 3:30, St. Cecilia is at Trousdale County. And at 1:30, Blackman and Tullahoma will face off.
Lock and load, more action coming your way. Boys basketball, a 2:30 start time for Silverdale Academy versus BGA. 5:30, we'll see Franklin Classical Battle Creek. Sorry for that. 2 p.m., it'll be Cascade at Blackman. Up a couple games at 5:30. Lead Academy taking on Chattanooga Christian. Marshall County is at Franklin Road Academy. At 1 p.m., it'll be Cannon County versus Friendship Christian. Other games on the docket include Coffee County versus Glencliff. A 2:30 start time versus as Goodpasture and Pearl-Cone will get it on. Again, at 2:30, Pearl-Cone and Goodpasture. 4:30 p.m., it'll be Stratford versus Heritage. At 1:30, you can catch Liberty Creek versus Joe Burns. Franklin and Laverne will tangle at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Lawson is in tournament action, as we mentioned earlier. Not sure who they'll be playing. Buckle up. Could be anybody, but they will be playing tomorrow. East Hamilton is at Lebanon at 4 o'clock. Hazel Green, Alabama, meeting Lipscomb Academy at 5. Same deal for Lawson as Loretto. Check in tomorrow to find out who the Mustangs will be playing. 2 p.m. now. It'll be Hendersonville versus Macon County. An 8 o'clock tip-off as East Hickman travels to Mount Pleasant. 2:30 p.m. start time between Columbia Academy and Nolensville. Don't have a start time for Page versus Oak Ridge, but that should be a pretty good ball game. 5:30 tip-off between Rossview and Oakland. 7 o'clock start time for Ensworth versus Riverdale. 8:30, they'll get it on. It'll be Grundy County versus Siegel. Smyrna is going to meet somebody. We don't know a time. We don't know an opponent just yet. Henry Clay, Kentucky will meet Spring Hill at 3:30. At 4 o'clock, it'll be Brentwood versus Stewart's Creek. 3:30 will be Kirkwood versus the Webb School. West Creek, same deal, going to meet an unknown or still to be determined opponent. Check your local listings. And capping your Saturday boys action will be Stratford and White House Heritage. Those two teams will get it on at 4:30.
Women's basketball action tomorrow. Tulsa taking on Tennessee at 10 a.m. So Tennessee's got a quick turnaround, apparently. West Georgia comes to Memorial Gym taking on the Commodore women. That's an 11 a.m. start. At 12 noon, you can see it on ESPN+. Tennessee State's women go to Morehead State. Austin P is at High Point at 1 o'clock tomorrow. That one's also on ESPN+. Also at 1, Fisk goes over to Knoxville taking on Johnson. Men's action tomorrow. Austin P comes to Vanderbilt. That's a 2 o'clock tip. So they got a little doubleheader action at Memorial tomorrow. Yeah. That one you can also see on ESPN+. Tennessee State's men and Morehead State will finish up the men's doubleheader in Ohio Valley Conference action. That's a 2 o'clock tip in Morehead. That one can also be seen on ESPN+. College football tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. It's going to be cold. Tennessee goes to Ohio State in the opening round of the college football playoff. Again, 7 o'clock kick. You can see it on ABC. 12:30 tomorrow. The LA Kings come to Bridgestone Arena taking on the Nashville Predators. That one will be seen on the NHL Network and on FanDuel. Grizzlies going to Atlanta taking on the Hawks. That's a 6:30 tip on FanDuel as well. Sunday action. Got a doubleheader as Tennessee Southern takes on Life. A 1 o'clock start there. in the Atlanta area. And at 12 noon on CBS Sports, it is the 3-11 Titans going to Indianapolis, taking on the 6-8 Colts. Again, 12 noon kick on CBS. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill in Columbia. Remember when I was telling you about breaking news right up to the final minute before we came on the air? Well, as a result, we are going to skip what was our top story. We will get back to it. But friend of the show, Mount Juliet graduate, former Bethel football coach Mike Jasper has been named head football coach at Stetson University in DeLand, Florida. And I can't tell you how happy I am for this guy. 44-20 in 6 seasons at Bethel, where he completed his playing career after spending time both at MTSU and at Martin. Again, a Mount Juliet graduate, spent 3 seasons in the NFL before embarking on his coaching career. Back-to-back 11-win seasons down at Bethel, went 7-3 this past year, and again, 44-20 in 6 seasons. Fantastic news for him. Stetson plays, I believe, in the Pioneer League, which is a non-scholarship league, but it's Division I, and obviously, we will be efforting to get Coach Jasper on here shortly. But man, Tommy Bryan kind of tipped me to this a little bit before airtime, and certainly wanted to get this out to him. I believe he and Alicia Clark graduated together at Mount Juliet. That's not a bad graduating class at any high school.
Pretty stellar class, right? She's obviously still knocking it around at a very high level at the WNBA, and then now Coach Jasper, who's already gone on to do some great things, and presumably going to try and do some great things at his next stop there. That's a good get on its surface level for Stetson, just based off what he's done at Bethel, which has had some success even before he took over. But at that level, in the NAIA level, things can turn and go topsy-turvy in a hurry. So very cool to see him get rewarded after a nice little run there over in West Tennessee.
Absolutely. 11-0 in 2022 and number 4 nationally during the regular season, 11-2 the year after that. Earned Mid-South Conference Coach of the Year and NAIA Region 1 Coach of the Year honors in that 22 season, and is still the last NAIA player drafted by the National Football League. Buffalo took him in 2011, also played or spent time with the Titans, Giants, and Panthers. So again, at Big Shadow Mike on Twitter. Great dude. Congratulations. Let's go ahead and take a break because we've got waiting in the wings Belmont graduate Landon SECREST to talk a little NBA. Stay tuned when we return to the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan, come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Well, we went all out for you this year, didn't we, little girl? Yep, we got you what you wanted with all the bells and whistles.
A brand new car?
Let's go check it out. Come on. We're here.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the garage. I got a car.
Yep, let's get in here. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar, got your 18 series heat pump with your ultraviolet home treatment system.
I cannot believe it. Thank you.
Yes! Give the gift of clean air this year. Merry Christmas from the Busy Bee family.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
He shoots, and he scores!
The weekend warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we're pleased to be joined by Belmont graduate Landon SECREST to talk a little NBA. First of all, Landon, congratulations.
Thank you, Mo. I appreciate it. Thank you, Wade, as well.
This is your chance for your acceptance speech or, a chance to thank everybody. So 30 seconds is yours, Landon.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody. This show means a lot to me. Everyone who knows my journey in sports media, this was kind of my start. Mo Patton and Chris Yao helping me get that exposure, giving me a platform. So I really just want to thank them and everybody who's listened to me. Time has flown by. In 2021, that was my start, and now I'm graduated from college. So it's just amazing.
Time flies when you're having
fast,
fun.
Mo.
Yeah, they do. They really do. So now what? I mean, are you off of your parents' payroll yet? What's the next move?
Yes, I am. I'm going to finish out the broadcast season with Belmont basketball. So I'll still be doing some sideline reporting there. But around the same time that I would have been graduating in May, looking at the end of the seasons, NBA, NFL, that's my aiming point. I would love to work for a pro sports team. I would love to get that off and running. So we'll see where the wind takes me. But that's the objective right now.
Well, if you need a reference, we got you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anything we can do. But want to draw on your ideally an NBA situation would be the ideal for you, I know, because you are such a hoop head. Tell us what happened with Memphis and Golden State last night.
I was actually out playing basketball myself, and one of my friends told me to turn the game on. They were like, the Grizzlies are absolutely dubbing the Warriors, and it was just my first question was, is Curry playing? Because of course that is a factor. And then I saw that he was playing. He was just having a horrific game, and the Grizzlies were just absolutely giving it to the Warriors. So it was shocking, but I know what the Grizzlies are capable of. We know what Ja and the crew and all the other, the deep roster that they have. It's just very impressive to win like that in the NBA and the way that they did last night.
Steph, 2 points, no field goals. Draymond, no points, no rebounds, no assists. I mean, that's just beyond explanation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, you never want to have a star have a bad game, but when you have your pretty much two best players have a bad game in the NBA, it's going to be a very rough night, especially when, the Warriors are a very top-heavy team. The rest of the team is really unproven, doesn't have that much experience, filled with, role players. And when you have Steph and Draymond have off nights, it's going to be a long, long day.
This was Schroeder's debut. He went 1 for 9, finished 2 for 12, 1 for 9 in the first half, finished 2 for 12. They had only played one game in the last week, so it wasn't like it was a back-to-back or anything like that. I mean, and I'm getting caught up and I'm doing exactly what I imagine everybody else that's talking NBA these days is doing. You tend to look at 144-93 and say, what's wrong with the Warriors? And maybe we should be saying, what's right with the Grizzlies?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Grizzlies are second in the Western Conference right now, getting Ja back into the fold, having somebody like a Zach Edey and a Jalen Wells, new on the scene. And then everybody, I saw a tweet yesterday that said the Grizzlies are one of the only teams in the league that have, 10 good NBA players, maybe more than that. And they could play those guys on a nightly basis. So, I think it shows how impactful the Grizzlies can be and how important it is to get them on that level, to getting the exposure like this, that, hey, the Grizzlies are good. They haven't went anywhere. John missed his time last year, but they're going to be one of the best teams in the league as long as they have 12.
Yeah, and he was playing at a high level last night. The whole team was just, it was a franchise record, 27 threes. And Landon, coming into the season, there was a lot of chatter about some shakeups on the coaching staff. They dipped their toes into the international waters and kind of try and revitalize their offense. And it was kind of ugly to start, especially some of the way that the minutes and the rotations kind of were set. And then we had injury issues with Memphis. And then poof, it seems like not only did they get healthy, they magically learned and everything there was to know about their new offense. And they are currently the top-ranked offense in the NBA. And I guess I'm curious, did you think that they could ascend to this level this quickly at this point in the season, or did you maybe think this would take longer to gel? Because I kind of was thinking this might be a season-long type endeavor.
Yeah, I thought it would take a little bit of time for the Grizzlies to kind of come together. I mentioned, they have so many good players from top to bottom, and getting them integrated into that new style of offense. Everybody wants to get threes up, but when you add somebody like a Zach Edey, you kind of have to feed the post and get him involved and set screens to get those shooters open. So it's just a learning process. But when you have shooters like Bane, Ja's improving, you got Kennard, everybody, can shoot the three if they're open, and some of them take it at a high volume. I think, we're seeing it a lot earlier than most people expected it with the Grizzlies. So that's contributing to the fast start that they're on and why they're so high up in the standings right now.
Yeah, they're kind of nipping at the heels of your OKC Thunder. And guys, two things last night with this game. Number one, our good buddy and friend of the show, Pete Pranica, he delivered his signature hammer nail coffin in the third quarter. That's how bad it was. It was like 114-50 at one point. And then number two, they don't bust this out usually at all in the regular season, but it was so bad, and there's such bad blood between those two teams. They busted out the whoop that trick last night. It does not get brought out usually in the regular season, but last night it felt warranted, and man, did it feel good.
Yeah, definitely. It was warranted, most definitely.
Yeah, if you're not going to play at them, when are you going to, right?
I mean, and you had Draymond a couple years ago that was kind of head bobbing as the Warriors beat them. And last night crickets from virtually the entire roster.
Yeah, he probably had his head under a towel at some point last night. Yeah. Landon SECREST, our favorite NBA analyst and recent Belmont graduate, looking for a job, y'all. So if you got something, we can let you know how to get a hold of him. But joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking a little NBA. Landon, I kind of chuckled when you mentioned a second ago folks wanting to get threes up. LBJ went on a bit of a rant here, I guess, at some point yesterday, last night, talking about the NBA and what's wrong with it. He was being asked about the All-Star game specifically, and said, something's got to change. But listen, it's a bigger conversation. It's not just the All-Star game. It's our game in general. There's a lot of threes being shot. So it's a bigger conversation than just the All-Star game. And a lot of people here recently are kind of talking about the number of threes and who's shooting them. You don't change that, though, do you? I mean, how do you change that?
I think it's really just the style of the game now. Basketball has evolved, especially in the 2010s, the era that I grew up really watching. Steph Curry, who was playing in the game last night against the Grizzlies, you live by the three, you die by the three. And when you get up the volume of how many that he takes and then the influence that has over the rest of the league, a lot of the baskets now are either 3 points or layups. And we're seeing that kind of trickle down into, grassroots basketball as well. But you see the impact that shooting threes has, and it doesn't make the game less interesting. But if you are not knocking them down, the excitement level goes way, way down. And in the NBA, particularly with the All-Star game, we already have the 3-point contest. We don't want to see guys out there chucking up threes. We know who the best shooters are for the most part. So it's just ways to make the game more interesting. And, shooting threes is a part of the game unless we cut off the 3-point line or add a 4-point line or Adam Silver does something. So
it's interesting. I'm looking at an article on CBS Sports and I saw this clip late last month. Phoenix and Lakers, the two of them missed 9 straight threes in 2 minutes.
Yep, I saw that. I know exactly what clip you're talking about, and it's one of the most horrible examples, so far, of just, chucking up threes, for lack of a better phrase. That's exactly what it is, and if you're not making them, that's the result. We saw when the Rockets were playing the Warriors, I believe, years ago, and they missed, into the teens and 20s consecutive threes, and it's horrible when they don't fall down, but boy, is it great when they go in.
High risk, high reward, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also last night, LeBron sets the regular season record for minutes, not threes. Sorry. Played his 57,447th regular season minute at Sacramento last night, which oddly enough is where he made his professional debut. So it's wild the way that kind of came full circle. Again, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had set the record in 1989, and LeBron breaks it. He had already broken the all-time minutes record, including postseason play, which had been held by KAJ as well. But it's again, set the record at the same place where he began his NBA career. And if he hadn't sat out those 2 games that he sat out prior to coming back against the Grizzlies earlier this week, then I guess that record would have already been set. So LeBron always got a flair for the dramatic, right?
Yeah. LeBron, amazing player, just phenomenal feats, the accomplishments, and, the important accolades such as that are kind of amazing to look back in retrospect in years that we'll see. He's the minutes leader, the points leader, all of those big number individual accolades. LeBron is just amazing. And he's one of my favorite players, just admiring. I didn't like him at first, but just admiring what he is as a player and everything that he's involved in and his impact on the league, just seeing cool things like that. And I love the little coincidences that he began in Sacramento and then he broke it in Sacramento. I just love stories like that. You know, it's the journalist in me finding the story and seeing what LeBron means to the league and for basketball.
Landon, we're approaching, the Christmas holiday, and then the All-Star break is not too far behind. So, not all the way, we're not halfway, but we're getting a good ways into this season. Good or bad, who are a couple of teams or who are a couple of players that have jumped out to you kind of nearing this midway mark?
Yeah, most importantly, of course, I'm going to take this moment to shout out my Oklahoma City Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he had
Emirates NBA Cup runner-up, man. I mean, I know you got your shirt ready, right?
Yeah, I was tuned in. Fortunately, we came out on the short end of the stick. But as I was saying, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can give you 30. I think he's getting a lot more exposure now, with the NBA Cup games, although I don't think the Thunder are on NBA national television until like mid-January or something like that. But just getting more eyes on the Thunder and seeing what a top-notch player he is. And then you look at, what the Cleveland Cavaliers have done this year. Shout out Darius Garland, 615. I mean, these guys bursted out this year, and it was like, whoa, what's going on in Cleveland? They've got Donovan Mitchell. They've got Mobley. These guys are super talented, and, they're all-star level players, and they're kind of all gelling together. We've seen it in spurts over the past couple of years in Cleveland, but it seems like they're putting it together this year, and they're up there with the Celtics. And then in the East, you've got, Cat, who's made an instant impact in New York. And for the T-Wolves, you've seen his impact and how it's gone because Ann is having to do so much, and Ann is still having a great year. So he's somebody to look at because he's carrying so much of a load now with Randall as his sidekick. And then I think most importantly, you've got to look at three of the international players that are making still great impacts on the game. You got Giannis and his partnership with Dame, bringing the Bucks back out, NBA Cup champions. Then you've got Jokic and Luka in the Western Conference. I mean, what Luka and Kyrie are doing with the Mavs, it's kind of that consistency that we're seeing, proving that really the finals wasn't a fluke, that, hey, we're actually can be a good tandem. So those are just a couple of players that I've seen this year that are making a lot of impact on the game, and they're really exciting to watch. We've talked about ratings and all that, but those guys I will watch if they're on the TV.
Landon, you real quick, you mentioned the Nuggets in terms of Jokic. They lose on a buzzer beater, wild ending last night to the lowly Trailblazers. And as we sit here today, the Nuggets are the 6th seed. They're 3 games over 500. Is it time to panic? What do they need to do in a loaded Western Conference? Or are they kind of just, treading water right now and they're cool with that? I'm curious your thoughts on the Nuggets at this point.
I think, the team is obviously going to go as far as Jokic wants to take them, and he's a great MVP caliber player. But, the rest of the guys, where is Jamal Murray and the consistency that we've seen from him in the past in the playoffs? What can Michael Porter Jr. kind of grow into? Aaron Gordon, all the other pieces around Jokic. We know what Jokic can do, but he can't really win you a game alone at the way the league is getting so much more competitive with teams like the Grizzlies and the deep teams. It's great to have a big player like him, but you need a little bit more.
Landon SECREST joining us here on Main Street Sports today, talking a little NBA. The big Christmas Day schedule is coming up, obviously, on Wednesday. Minnesota, Dallas, Philadelphia, Boston, Lakers, Warriors, Nuggets, Suns. Which of those games are you going to be sure to be in front of the TV for?
I definitely want to watch the Minnesota-Dallas game just because of the eyes on Luka Doncic and Kyrie, and then seeing how Ant and Julius Randle work together. I mean, it's still a work in progress with them, but they're 2 great players. And then the question mark around Phoenix and what their capabilities are, with Booker and the big 3 and KD and his health. How are they going to put it together? Is it going to be a bust again, like what we saw in Brooklyn with KD? I think it's important to tune in to Phoenix and see how it's really flowing, get a little pulse check every now and then. So I'll be tuned into those 2 games.
Okay, great. Landon, we appreciate you checking in with us, man. We were beginning to wonder if we needed to put you on a milk carton or something because we hadn't seen you in so long. But in all seriousness, congratulations again. Obviously, that's a huge accomplishment, and to do it in less than 4, even more so. So, congrats. I know everybody that knows you is happy for you and proud of you, and certainly count me in that bunch. And hope we can get you on again here more quickly than the span that we've had between your last visit and this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys here at Main Street Sports and everybody that's helped me along the way. This is the shout out. Everybody helped me get to this journey, get to graduating, and get to being back on this show. So thank you guys.
Absolutely.
All right,
congrats again, Landon.
When we continue from the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we'll be talking a little baseball. There's some interesting stuff, some of which we hadn't had a chance to get to, but a lot going on. Let's talk about it. Stay tuned.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That is Wade Neely. I am Maurice Patton. We are both coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and it's time for a little hot stove talk. Some things that we've not been able to get to because there's been so much going on, but also some stuff relatively recent. But let's start with the Yankees' response or continued response to not being able to hang on to Juan Soto. First, they went and got Max Fried to address some pitching. 8 years, $215 million. Then they traded for first baseman outfielder Cody Bellinger, who I guess became expendable once the Cubs traded for former Houston Astros outfielder Kyle Tucker. But I don't know that Cody Bellinger is a Juan Soto replacement. That's not exactly a comp, but he does have 2 years left on a 3-year deal with the Cubs and $52.5 million. So compared to Soto's money, that's kind of bargain basement itch. I've never really seen him as a Yankee necessarily, but from the left side with that short right field porch, might be
Make some magic happen.
Yeah, it might be interesting, man. I've always liked him as a player. I love his versatility. I was hoping he might wind up about 4 hours south of here some kind of way, to be honest. But it's intriguing. And it's always intriguing when the Yankees and the Dodgers are collecting players and how they get them to work into what they've already got on hand and that kind of thing. Bellinger, 26 homers, 97 ribs, 20 steals back in 2023. Did not have quite that same performance this past year. So maybe a different surrounding, a different, hitting coach, that kind of thing. Maybe that makes a difference for him, and they are able to unlock some of that potential in him. Because, I mean, at his top, he can play, man. So.
To your point, real quick, it feels like the Yankees have lost their luster, though, in their ability to just sign guys and make it work. It feels like that's a territory at this point only reserved for the Dodgers. So I see what the Yankees are trying to do. I'm squinting my eyes here, but I'm not necessarily sold that it's going to work out as well or as effectively as it did for LA this year. Remains to be seen.
Absolutely. Again, the Cubs been all over the news here of late. Again, with the trade for Kyle Tucker from the Astros here not too long ago, the trade of Cody Bellinger, and now apparently Sammy Sosa is back in the club's good graces. Yesterday, issued a public apology and was promptly invited to the 2025 Cubs convention. I guess he was persona non grata over things. I mean, nobody ever really says what it is. Everybody's kind of dancing around the obvious, but it was like he was kind of banished from the Cubs kingdom until he put out this statement yesterday. I left it all on the field for the Cubs and Cubs fans because I wanted to win and make the fans happy. I love to see the fans at Wrigley in the right field bleachers every home game. I understand why some players in my era don't always get the recognition that our stats deserve. There were times I did whatever I could to recover from injuries in an effort to keep my strength up to perform over 162 games. I never broke any laws, but in hindsight, I made mistakes and I apologize. We accomplished great things as a team, and I worked extremely hard in the batting cage to become a great hitter. Cubs fans are the best in the world, and I hope that fans, the Cubs, and I can all come together again and move forward. We can't change the past, but the future is bright. In my heart, I have always been a Cub, and I can't wait to see Cubs fans again. I mean, it's interesting. And right after that, the Cubs released a statement in which they said they appreciate Sammy releasing his statement.
Of course.
Yeah, it's an understatement to say that Sammy is a fan favorite. We plan on inviting him to the 2025 Cubs convention, and while it is short notice, we hope that he can attend. We are all ready to move forward together. And, as somebody tweeted yesterday in the aftermath of all these statements, where's the Cubs apology? because it's not like they didn't know what was going on in 98.
Yeah.
That's a little holier than thou on the Cubs part, and to kind of leave this guy hanging out there on his own until he issues a vague apology, and then you vaguely accept his apology for what everybody knows was happening. So
yeah, I mean, I'm in the camp. I saw this tweet yesterday, and granted, this is right in my wheelhouse growing up watching a lot of these games, running around the Giles County Little League ballpark. I mean, these guys, you can call it what you want to call it, but I mean, in my opinion, at that age, they saved the game of baseball. I mean, and so the fact that there's just this weird song and dance, the fact of the timing of all this, I will say that, I got several Cubs fans in my life, and I mean, they were immediately excited, and I had to Google all this. I didn't realize this was going on. I mean, this seems like petty wars on a pretty high level.
yeah,
but it is what it is. And it's always nice when you see people make up, and it seems like they're attempting to make up.
Well, it's they're making up, but I'm not sure what it is that they're making up for. I mean,
yeah, I would like a little more clarification from the two parties, perhaps.
Well, and the reality of it is, Wade, for you as a kid at that time watching the game, your perception is Sosa and McGuire saved baseball. You are far from the only one that feels that way. So, I think baseball's got to get real with itself on some stuff. I mean, you can't laud what took place and then beat these guys down for what they were doing for it to take place. I mean, you got to get on one side or the other, I guess, or just take it and go on, which is kind of where I find myself. I mean, some guys were doing some things that were frowned upon. Okay. What did you do about it when you knew that they were doing it? Nothing. Okay. Then shut up. So
I'll tell you this. I go back at least a couple times a year, and I watch the Eric Gagne versus Barry Bonds at bat on YouTube. I'll tell you that much. I'm not really watching Jeff Blauser versus insert pitcher here. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I go back and I got fond memories of that type of stuff. And so, yeah, rightly or wrongly, it was part of the game, and it is what it is.
And it was part of the game, and everybody knew that it was part of the game when it was part of the game, and nobody did anything about it. So there we go. Not to be left out of all of the baseball news coming out of the Windy City, the Chicago White Sox have changed the name of their home facility. They are no longer Guaranteed Rate Field. They are Rate Field as of Wednesday. And, for a team that lost a major league record, 121 games this past year, there clearly are no guarantees. So, I mean, it makes perfectly good sense.
Yeah, I saw this in the rundown, and I was just, I don't know. Sometimes these moves are just a little puzzling, right?
Well, it's the White Sox. And I'm think sure that
there's a base level of ineptitude or perceived ineptitude that kind of goes with that territory, and then any move essentially that they do is pretty fair game to get roasted on the interwebs. So here we sit
roasting
as we kind of light one up and blow it out at the White Sox here.
Absolutely. Astros in the hot stove news, as Nolan Arenado said no to a trade from St. Louis to the Astros, and Houston promptly signed former Arizona first baseman Christian Walker. So a third baseman says no. They sign a first baseman. Alex, there will be no more Breggy bombs at Minute Maid Park, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox for sure. I think it was the Yankees and Red Sox was one report that I had read last night, potentially in the mix for Bregman And just when it looked like nobody was wanting to come to Houston, I'm kind of getting ready to start pouting over here. At least they get a little glimmer of hope there with Walker, who could be a really nice piece in that lineup.
He could be a really
Altuve,
nice
Paredes, Alvarez, and then Walker. I mean, that sounds pretty dang good to me.
You take it. There would be worse top fours for sure. So yeah, hope springs eternal in Houston as they try to continue their hold on the AL West #1 spot. Our number one here of the weekend warm-up on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, wraps up. When we come back to the Lee Company studio for hour number 2, we'll talk a little football, or a lot of football. Stay tuned.
Nashville's Nutcracker returns to TPAC this December, presented by Nashville Ballet. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets at NashvilleBallet.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee, here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
For number 2 of the weekend warm-up here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes. And Wade, as you mentioned, defensive struggle on Thursday night as the Chargers and Broncos played to a 34-27 outcome, with the Chargers picking up the victory in that AFC West showdown.
Yeah, it was an entertaining game, and I predicted that part right, at least yesterday. I thought it would be an entertaining game, but much lower scoring, considering the two defenses that we had on hand last night. But it was a wild game. Whoever's writing the script for the NFL this year has done a great job with some of these Thursday night games. They throw in just enough stinkers to throw you off the scent, but there's been some sneaky good ones on Thursday this year.
And Jim Harbaugh is a crafty fella, picking up a cheap 3 points right before halftime on a fair catch kick. I didn't get to see it, but I've been reading about it, and it's like I said, pretty crafty. The Broncos had to punt. The Chargers fielded a punt, called for a fair catch, were interfered with on the play, picked up an extra 15 yards to get their kicker in field goal range, Cameron Dicker, from the 47. So what's that, 57?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Well, he got to kick it from there. So it's 47 yard field goal with no defense, basically. If you call fair catch on a punt or on a kick, you can kick a field goal from right there without the field goal defense unit being able. They've got to be 10 yards off the ball, and they can't rush it. And again, Dicker from there was money to become the first kicker since the 49ers, Ray Wersching, in 1976 to hit a free kick field goal.
It was
hats off to Harbaugh.
Wersching was on the Chargers. That was the other cool part. Is the Chargers?
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
They had the last one and now the most recent one, which is crazy. And classic Harbaugh, right? He was talking about in the post game that he loves this rule, and he's just been begging, and so much so that when he was the coach at the 49ers, that was one of the last attempts of this. There was one in 2019, but Harbaugh pulled it off in 13. And Mo, he tried that one. He trotted out Phil Dawson from 71 yards. Spoiler, he missed it. But it was at least the attempt. It was really cool. I don't know that they would have tried it if not for the 15-yard penalty. It was right. Interesting to hear Herbert even say, yeah, I thought we were just going to come out and take a knee or do a Hail Mary. And they traded timeouts, and they do that. And I'll never forget also the late, great Rob Baronis attempted one of these for the Titans back in like 04, 06, 05, somewhere in that neck of the woods. Missed it, obviously, because there hadn't been one, as you mentioned, since 76. Crazy deal. And that gave the Chargers some momentum, because then in the second half, they were a completely different team. They looked kind of lifeless through the first quarter and a half. And then right there at the end, caught lightning in a bottle. And that is a massive win for them. They technically can clinch a playoff berth this weekend now if the right teams win and lose. And the Broncos, meanwhile, that's a devastating defeat after they had been kind of flying high.
Speaking of the AFC West, no relief for the teams chasing Kansas City. Mahomes apparently is good to go this week. Well, tomorrow, when Houston comes to town in a Saturday matchup. Sustained a high ankle sprain in their last outing, but he has no injury designation as of today. So should be interesting to watch how that progresses and whether he re-aggravates it against the Texans or anything like that. But
hey, I'm not accusing Mahomes of anything, but man, this seems awful familiar. Kind of like the ankle situation last year. And you're telling me that my man walked off the field and we thought you might think that you may never see him play another down of football the way he was
ever
hobbled off last week. And now he's not even on the injury report. Seems a little suspect for a team that's already good enough. The underdog role is going to get brought up just like it did last year. Look at the injury that they've had to overcome. to win the Super Bowl. You could tell Heather I said that.
We'll just clip this out and send it to Heather with no explanation. Just send her your little.
Seems a little fishy.
Right,
I mean, you're not even on the injury report. Seems a little sus.
With this injury situation, though, you would think that Mahomes would probably skip the Pro Bowl should the Chiefs some way not be in the Super Bowl. And I don't know why anybody plays in the Pro Bowl at this point, since there is no game. But they have added skills competitions to the 2-day event. It's a Friday, Sunday activity down in Orlando, January 30th and February 2nd. It'll be capped off by a flag football game, but they have added some new events, 9 in total, including a punt perfect challenge, precision passing, satisfying catches, a relay race where 4 players from each conference complete a 40-yard dash before handing a football to the next athlete on their team, continuing until the 4th and final leg crosses the finish line. Helmet Harmony, a game show to test player knowledge of their teammates, with every correct answer worth a point. The team with the most correct answers wins. Dodgeball, the Great Football Race, which will include a sled push, 5-on-5 tug of war, and again, a 7-on-7 flag football game that will take place on that Sunday to cap this event off.
I'm more intrigued by the skills than anything, obviously, at this point. Helmet Harmony could be kind of interesting. Dodgeball, obviously, is the highlight of this. And the precision passing, it gives me vibes of it wasn't Madden, and it wasn't Tecmo Bowl, but there was a franchise, the NFL Quarterback Club, and they had the quarterbacks in there. I remember playing this on the Super Nintendo, and man, it was an unusual game, but there was all these random skill competitions, and it kind of is what this reminds me of a little bit. It's almost like somebody dug up their Sega Genesis and went to work and said, "Let's come up with something here."
Again, Houston and Kansas City play tomorrow. Also, Pittsburgh and Baltimore play tomorrow in a big AFC North matchup. But this in the middle of the opening round of the college football playoffs. I mean, did the NFL do this intentionally?
I think that's the interesting question, right? Did college football accidentally do this? And on one hand, we're never going to turn down more football. These will be probably some pretty good games, especially Steelers-Ravens. But the sad thing too, obviously, is that these teams are forced to play today or tomorrow because they're the teams that are going to have to turn right back around and play on Christmas. These are the 4 teams that are just going to flip-flop the schedule.
Ooh. And
I think it's the Chiefs that are playing 3 games in 10 days. I mean, it is rough, and it's, they're trying to steal Christmas, they're for a variety of reasons. And man, when it works out on the calendar a certain way, it's not bad, but man, this is forced. I'm never going to turn down an excuse to watch some games, especially on a Saturday, but man, that's tough knowing that those guys are going to have to turn right back around and play again on Wednesday.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. I had not looked that far forward.
Wednesday is Chiefs, Steelers, and Ravens, Texans. So they kind of flip flop there. Those will be your 2 Netflix games on Christmas Day.
It's interesting that you mentioned Netflix. Now, I made a mistake a few weeks ago trying to make a Netflix reference that did not work. Remind me.
He now.
The box
one you're talking about.
No. The Tyson Paul, that was on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they had the buffering woes, right?
Yeah.
So how concerned are we with Netflix and athletic events? Because what was supposed to be our top story before we got the news of Mike Jasper getting the Stetson gig was Netflix apparently has won broadcast rights for the Women's World Cup for both 2027 and 2031. And, are we concerned with their ability to handle live athletics?
I think there is to be a little bit of concern at this moment. And I think maybe there's even, some small concern for Wednesday. I think Netflix, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I think they learned a lot from that fight on that Friday in early November. And if there are more issues this Wednesday, I feel like that's going to draw even more ire because once the presents are all unwrapped and, everybody's tired of hanging out with each other, everybody's flocking around to try and catch something on TV. And if we get some buffering, it won't be pretty. The thing with this World Cup situation, though, is surely to goodness you would think by 27 and 31 you could figure out something. I think
you'd
maybe.
like to think. Yeah.
Gonna be wild too because the World Cup has pretty much predominantly been on network television, over the air for years and years and years. And now not only is it not on network, it's behind a paywall. I mean, you're gonna have to have a Netflix account to be able to watch the World Cup in 27 and 31.
Yeah. Some folks ain't going to be terribly happy about that.
YouTube TV just went up, $10 last month. So, I mean, by that time, Netflix will be a smooth $75 a month alone by the time we get to the World Cup. So they better have it figured out if we're going to be charging that much by that point in time.
Yeah, and that's exactly the line. For $75 a month, I'm not trying to sit through buffering issues. Yeah, you better get this right. Ohio with a 30-27 win over Jacksonville State in the Cure Bowl. Florida leads Tulane 3-0 at the end of the first in the Gasparilla Bowl. That's the 7-5 Gators and the 9-4 Green Wave doing battle at Robert James Stadium down in Tampa. Georgia doesn't play in this weekend's college football playoff, but whenever they do, it's not likely that Carson Beck will be under center for the Bulldogs. That arm injury that he sustained in the SEC championship game against Texas is apparently going to put him out for the remainder of this season, and surgery is still being considered as a possibility. Gunnar Stockton, in all likelihood, going to get his first career start in the Sugar Bowl against the winner of tonight's game between Indiana and Notre Dame. That's just what you want to do. Go into the quarterfinals of the playoffs with question marks about your quarterback.
Yeah, that is, even the most cynical Georgia fans probably don't want to hear that. I know there were some groans with Beck's play over the course of this year, but man, you'd probably rather have me personally. I'd still rather roll the dice with Beck just because he's been in the situations more than just rolling out Stockton, who may play better. Who knows? Some folks saying maybe he will play better or give them a better chance to win, but. Man, that's a big unknown on the biggest of stages.
No doubt. What is attractive about Oregon State as it relates to quarterbacks? DJ went out there from Clemson before coming back east and bombing out at Florida State. But Malik Murphy, the former Texas quarterback who threw for what? 26 touchdowns, a Duke record this past season before jumping in the portal, has come out at Oregon State.
Interesting, right? Because Jonathan Smith is not there. We just talked with John Bryce. He was kind of a savvy offensive minded guy. They got Trent Bray in there, kind of a hard-nosed, rugged defensive guy. So you don't think it's scheme-wise, which kind of maybe leads me to believe the bag man came calling.
Yeah, that could very well be. Okay, so apparently there was kind of a cause and effect situation at Duke because Manny Diaz and the coaching staff decided to go hard after Tulane transfer Darian Mensah once he went into the portal. And Malik said, wait a minute, dudes. I just threw for 26 touchdowns and nearly 3,000 yards. But okay, y'all do y'all, and jumped in the portal himself. And again, he has come out. He visited South Carolina. I don't know why you do that because Lenore Sellers ain't going nowhere. But
well, you at least got to get a qualifying offer. You want to have something on tape, or on an offer sheet, so you can go to a different school and say, "Hey, this was South Carolina offered me at least."
Yeah. So, third school in 3 years. Again, started at Texas. Sark's first quarterback commit. And I guess, we talked about the three of those guys, Murphy, Ewers, and Arch Manning, all being in the same quarterback room. And Murphy was clearly the odd man out and since become the odd man out at Duke. Oregon State had 7 touchdowns, 11 picks out of their quarterback starters last year. Giovanni McCoy has since transferred to Incarnate Word. The Beavers lost 6 of their last 7, but defeated Washington State in, I guess, the Pac-2 championship game. So, but yeah, Malik Murphy is a Beaver. So
I could see him doing well there, but yeah, philosophy-wise, doesn't seem like the smoothest of fits. So maybe playing time guaranteed is always something to consider, of course. Or the biggest bag came calling, and it leads out west.
Well, I mean, again, I'm not gonna kill anybody for securing the bag. Good for him. I'm not sure I want to go to Oregon State to do it, but hey, whatever works. You wouldn't expect there to be bags at Oregon State.
They got the little baby bags, they don't got the Oregon big bags, but they got the little baby bags.
I wonder what they wear. Do they wear Nike? Do we know?
I thought so.
Because I mean,
you're making me doubt myself now. But
obviously, Oregon is Phil Knight University, but I
OSU still Nike.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how friendly that agreement is, but it is at least an agreement.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Kind of.
Hey, you see these cool uniforms? Yeah, you're not getting these for about 4 more years. Oregon's rolling them out first, buddy.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
You got to win Civil War before you can request something from us.
Before we can even talk about it. Absolutely. Hey, when we come back to the Lee Company studios after we take this break on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by ESPN's Chris Lowe, talking a little more college football and particularly the college football playoff that kicks off tonight. Stay tuned after this.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
He shoots, and he scores!
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
The weekend warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are expecting to be joined at any moment by ESPN's Chris Lowe, but he's not here yet. So we will soldier on without him and hope that he can catch up as the college football playoffs open tonight in South Bend, Indiana, which woke up to a blanket of snow in anticipation of the Irish and Hoosiers in-state matchup tonight. Again, 7 o'clock kick for that one, both 11-1. The Irish, the number 5 team in the college football playoff rankings, Indiana number 8. The Irish, the number 7 seed in the bracket, Indiana number 10. And again, we're going to be picking this one in the final segment with the Wonder Slate. But, you know, Wade, without giving too much away, what are your thoughts heading into this ball game?
Man, my thoughts are the weather. This was our one chance. This is kind of deep down what everybody wanted. I think when you hear that playoff games are coming to campus sites, is you want a snow game. Give us a game in the snow with high stakes. And it felt like all week long, like this was our best shot. You know, we're kind of getting teased a little bit. It's not quite going to blanket like I had hoped. I think this will be a game that I don't know that if you're tuning in and you haven't seen Indiana or Notre Dame, you're going to probably be blown away by either one of these teams tonight and think, oh, yeah, one of these teams is going to win the national championship. But that also kind of speaks to perhaps why you haven't tuned in to any of the games. You've probably been watching some other teams along the way. So these are two good teams. Indiana's obviously been a tremendous story all season long. Notre Dame kind of the mirror opposite in the sense, had a nice win to start the year. And we talked to numerous guests in the preseason. And basically the script was, if you can win that first game, you can coast to the playoff as long as you can maybe beat USC. Nobody mentioned Northern Illinois. So then the question becomes, can Notre Dame kind of salvage enough wins and salvage its schedule playing perfect football to get into the playoff? And they kind of have gotten better as the year goes on. They're kind of I don't know that they got the goods to like I said, to win it all, but they're a sneaky team and they're an interesting team to me coming into this tournament. And I think this will be a fun game tonight. I hope Indiana shows up and plays well. I hope Notre Dame shows up and plays well, because it'd be nice to start this 4-game extravaganza off with a bang.
It would be nice to start this off with a bang. Absolutely. You know, we talked about the weather for tomorrow night's Tennessee-Ohio State game. It's going to be cold. Well, again, we woke up to pictures of snow all over the stadium there at Notre Dame. It is currently 32 degrees in South Bend. Feels like 20. It's supposed to be 29 degrees at kickoff. Again, as we were talking to Paul Keels, the Ohio State play-by-play announcer yesterday, you know, if you're playing, it's probably not a whole lot of an impact. And I'll have to take his word for that, because I've never played, and I've certainly never played in sub-freezing temps, but it can't be a whole lot of fun. And I don't know what kind of impact that'll have tomorrow night. I don't know what kind of impact it'll have tonight. But like you said, I'm hoping Indiana shows up and plays well, just because they have been such a great story all year, and the turnaround that Kurt Cignetti engineered in his first season after taking over from James Madison. They've been fun to watch. Like I've said it on a couple of occasions over the course of this season. I've watched them 2 or 3 times, and no, I had no intention of watching Big Ten football, but they played some pretty good ball. Now, obviously, they kind of stumbled when they played, you know, some of the cream of the Big Ten crop, I guess, but I'm not necessarily sure what you expected as far as that goes either. So let's ask Chris Lowe, who is joining us audio only, as he is on the move between point A and point B. But ESPN's Chris Lowe joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. C. Lowe, what's up? Where you at?
Hey guys, you're right. I'm headed to Columbus, Ohio. Snowy, windy, about 30 degrees right now. So I don't think it's going to be snowing. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be snowing tomorrow though for the Ohio State Tennessee game. But it's not going to be. It won't be a balmy day. I can promise you that, or night.
Yeah,
I guess
doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten that indication from everybody that we've talked to. It's not going to be balmy there. It's not going to be balmy at South Bend, obviously. You know, what's your read on this game tonight? Because for me, Chris, I just cannot put Northern Illinois, Notre Dame out of my mind. I mean, I know that this team has played a lot of football since then. They've beaten some good folks, but I feel like they've really kind of taken advantage of their status as an independent football program. And I've never been a big Irish fan, but as a journalist, I try to be a little bit objective about this situation. They probably are better than Indiana. I just hope Indiana comes out and really pushes them for 4 quarters here.
I think they will. I think Indiana is legit. Now, they didn't play well. Didn't start well against Ohio State, and that cost them. But they came back and I thought gave a decent accounting of themselves, but they beat everybody they were supposed to beat, and they beat them badly. It wasn't like they won a lot of games with a field goal at the buzzer. I mean, they were pretty dominant in their wins. And I think what's significant to me, the team, and I was listening to you before you guys brought me on, the team has sort of taken on Cignetti's personality. He very much has a bite back type personality, and that's the way his team has played this year. And I think as a football coach, you want to see that. I don't think in any way, shape, or form they walk in to Notre Dame Stadium tonight and are intimidated. I'd be shocked if that happens. Now, they might get beat, but they're not going to go in and say, well, boy, Indiana hasn't been on this kind of stage forever. We don't belong here, and look hesitant and scared. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they have proven themselves this year over the course of the season, the Big Ten, and the stage will not be too big for them. I saw Notre Dame live. I was actually in New York when they beat Army. And granted, Army physically and depth-wise couldn't match up with them. But the thing that jumped out to me about Notre Dame in that game is they're big and physical and they're fast. Jeremiah Love has made a big difference for them at running back. He's a home run threat. He's a guy that can break big plays. He's helped them with sort of those explosive plays from the line of scrimmage. And on defense, they've been a load. They've beaten everybody. And you're right. It's hard to get that stink. Sometimes there's a stench. You get a stench in your car, in your house. You just can't get it out of there. That loss to Northern Illinois sort of covered with Notre Dame all year long. But since then, much like Indiana, they've beaten everybody they played pretty handily.
You talk about Indiana taking on Cignetti's personality, Chris, and I can't help but go back to his introductory press conference when he was responding to somebody and he says, "I win, Google me." I mean, when that's the attitude and that's the personality that your coach brings in when he first walks in the door, you really can't help but take on that personality, can you?
No, and that's why I don't think that there's going to be I don't think they'll blink tonight, Mo. Indiana again. Now they may turn it over. Notre Dame may just be too good for them. But as far as just walking in and being hesitant and not being ready to compete, that would probably surprise me more than anything tonight if that happens, because I think they've had a whole season of this. They played on big stages, and you're right about Cignetti. That's the way he is. And anybody who's ever dealt with him or covered him or guys he's coached with on staffs will tell you the same thing. And I think he's been a guy that's taken a little bit of everything in his career and blended it together and has done. I mean, I know he's won a couple Coach of the Year awards already. I can't think of anybody who's done a better job than him this year at a place that just, let's be honest, Indiana just has not been what you'd call a football juggernaut ever.
Right.
No, certainly have not. Chris, I made the comment a moment ago, to me at least, maybe more Notre Dame for sure, but it doesn't feel like either of these teams is going to be standing there on championship night on January 20th. But I guess walking it back even just a couple of rounds, can either one of these teams, can the winner of tonight's game, especially what we heard or have heard about Carson Beck, can either one of these teams in your mind beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Beck's not going to play, but I think they've moved on from Beck. I don't mean that in a callous way, but they know he's out for the playoff, and they've been getting ready with Stockton to be their guy. However long they're in the playoff, Beck will not be back during this year, and I don't know that he'll be back at Georgia. Period. But no, they can win. I mean, we've seen Georgia be. Well, first of all, let me say this about Georgia. Okay, Georgia, I think, played the hardest schedule in the country. When you look at the whole thing, they played Texas twice. Both games away from home. One of them a true road game. They played at Ole Miss. They played at Alabama. They played Tennessee at home. They played a really good Georgia Tech game that took 8 overtimes to win. And they beat Clemson. They boat raced Clemson early.
Yeah.
That seems like 2 years ago. And granted, it was
really
close
does.
to Athens, but it was a neutral game, and Clemson fans travel pretty well to Atlanta. So I don't know if anybody's played a harder schedule. So I don't think there's a more battle-tested team in the playoff than Georgia. I really don't. And we know how Kirby coaches those guys. But they have had those games where the lulls where they haven't been able to score. They beat Kentucky 13-12. That game against Georgia Tech, until you got into overtime, they weren't really able to score. They scored 1 touchdown in the first half against Alabama. I was at that game. And then, played like gangbusters in the second half. So, yes, if they have, 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters where they just can't score, then absolutely anybody can beat them. I still think Georgia, though, even without Beck, to me, if you said, right now, if we all sat down and picked the 3 teams we think that we had Mo's money to go to Atlantic City and bet the house, who are the 3 that you think are most likely to be there? Georgia would be one of my 3. It'd be Georgia, Oregon, and Ohio State would be my 3, in no particular order.
Georgia, Oregon, and Ohio State. So basically you're picking Ohio State for tomorrow night then, right?
Well, I think they're a better team, and they were exposed, Mo, against Michigan, especially on offense. They couldn't run it. Michigan beat them up in their defensive line, and that's the strength of Tennessee's team is their defensive line, the depth, and their ability to just keep teams from really being able to run the football. And if they do that and make the quarterback beat them, then I think Tennessee's got a shot. And maybe this is not the most scientific way to look at a football game, but name me the last time Tennessee's gone on the road against a really good team and played what you call a B+ or A game.
I think I saw a graphic earlier this week that it's been since 2006 that Tennessee beat a
top 10 team.
25? Top 10 team on the road.
So yeah. So now Nico Iamaleava, Dylan Sampson, James Pearson, they weren't on any of those teams. Okay. So, I mean, I know we in the press get caught up in streaks, losing streaks and winning streaks. I mean, it has nothing to do with those kids or even Josh Heupel for that matter. This is only his 4th season at Tennessee. But even the short window we have under Heupel, Tennessee has been a much different team at home than they've been on the road. I think we all agree with that.
Sure.
And this is a game that's at a place that's hard to win. Now, there's a lot of restlessness around that Ohio State program among the fans. Has that seeped into the locker room a little bit? I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that when that happens, football teams usually rally around each other, and come out swinging. So we'll see if that happens with Ohio State. Ohio State, I really do believe is, if not the most talented, one of the most talented teams in college football. I mean, they spent almost $20 million on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you got to think that they're going to play to that talent level. And if they're going to do it, they better start now, or it's really going to get ugly for Ryan Day.
And to that point, Chris, how important is it that they get off to a strong start tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think that's Tennessee's best route to winning this game is Tennessee to hang around, make some plays, go into the second half. It's anybody's game. And then I think that doubt starts to creep in among the fan base. The home field advantage all of a sudden doesn't become, as big a deal. You wonder if then most of the pressure shifts. See, I think all the pressure, I shouldn't say all the pressure. I think the large majority of pressure in this game is on Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a win the national championship or bust type of feeling going into the season for the Buckeyes. For Tennessee, it was more, all right, they need to get into the playoff. And I'm not saying the players are thinking that way, but I think if this, Mo, to your question, if this game gets into the second half, midway through the second half, and Tennessee's tied or ahead by 3 points or trailing by a couple points, it's anybody's game, then I think that's when the pressure really shifts to Ohio State. And you wonder at that point what's going through those kids' mind, what's going through Ryan Day's mind as they stand over there on the sideline when a stadium probably – is not going to be as raucous as it was to start the game.
It may be raucous, Chris.
Well,
in light of that Michigan game, the last time they played in it, it might be raucous. It just might not necessarily be supportive.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, exactly, the boo type of raucous. But it's hard to get those impressions out of your mind when a team last played. And they get outplayed as thoroughly in the line of scrimmage as Ohio State did to a Michigan team that was really pretty average this year. Michigan was a pretty average football team, and they just totally overwhelmed Ohio State up front in that game. And that's the last time we've seen Ohio State play. The other thing, both these teams are sort of in the same boat is that this is going to be the first time they played a football game in essentially, a month?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time to go. And we used to see that some in the old BCS. You don't know. It's a different team when you go that long. When you go, 22 days or 23 days and don't play a football game. And sometimes the defenses are way ahead of the offenses. It's sort of like when you start the season. A lot of times the defenses are ahead of the offenses. Who's able to be as polished in the season early on offense, I think probably will dictate this game. And who plays a cleaner game. Tennessee on the road, that's the thing I think that's hurt Tennessee more than anything when they've gone on the road with the way they like to play. Now, they haven't played as much tempo this year as they have, certainly as they did when Hooker was there. But they have made a lot of penalties on the road, pre-snap penalties, where guys were able to communicate, jump, the kind of things, you go from 2nd and 8 to, 2nd and 13, 3rd and 8. those are the types of things, I think, back through the last couple of years when Tennessee hasn't played well on the road, that have plagued them.
I think you're onto something, Chris. When you talk about, I don't know that we'll get an early indication, but it feels like, this Ohio State team is either ready to kind of throw in the towel, or maybe they give a spirited effort, like we saw a couple of years ago and nearly knocked off Georgia in the Peach Bowl in the semifinal. I'm kind of torn and kind of conflicted on this game. But I do want to ask you real quick, give me your thoughts on Texas, I guess, but also really just Texas at large, because you did not list them as one of your three teams that could make a run at this thing. I'm curious, why is that?
Yeah, and I think they could. If you said who are three, I don't think I would place
Would they
them
be
above.
four?
Probably so, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
well, first of all, Georgia beat them twice, so it's hard for me to put them ahead of Georgia, right? And I still think Oregon is one of the top two or three. And as we talked about Ohio State's talent. But no, I think if Texas is in that conversation, it should help that their tackle, Kelvin Banks, should be healthier. He did not play against Georgia in the SEC championship game. He's probably the best left tackle in college football. That helps your pass game immediately. It helps Quinn Ewers immediately. I think that's one of those things that you look at in this game. So how does Ewers play? He was up and down a little bit at points this season. He's been hurt several different times. What are they going to do if they don't move the football or they have issues? Because Clemson defense is pretty good. And if they have issues, will we see Arch Manning? We only saw him, 2 snaps against Georgia. Now, he came in, remember, and took over, or they benched Ewers in the first Georgia game and played Arch. So what would happen, or what would have to happen to see that type of scenario this time? Again, Texas is better. Clemson's, and listen, Dabo catches a lot of grief. Some of it he deserves. Some of it he probably doesn't. But his program over the last 10 years has been pretty darn consistent. And probably been a little bit of a victim of their own success because they won those 2 titles. And after that, if they didn't win 11 games or get to the championship game, it was a bad season. Well, here they are back in the playoff. We all know Dabo, I think just now is taking his first transfer. He's sort of been the anti-2024 type coach, but they are getting a little bit of a mulligan here. I mean, they went on a 56-yard field goal in the conference championship game to get in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten in. I was at Clemson for that last game when South Carolina beat them. And the Gamecocks went on the road, I thought clearly with a better team in that game and won. But Clemson won the game and had to. I guess we'll find out if they can take advantage of it, because the way it's set up now, if you win your conference championship, you're going to get in. But as we know, all conferences and all conference champions aren't created equal. Texas is better. If Texas plays a B game or better, they'll win this game. Now, if they turn it over and can't move the football and there's some, a little bit chaotic at the quarterback position and Sark is going back and forth between those 2 quarterbacks, then I think Clemson's got a chance to win. But if Texas plays, as I said, a B game or better, I think they'll win this game.
Or if Clemson comes out in red and black, maybe.
Or purple. Purple helmets, Mo.
Chris Lowe of ESPN joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris, your thoughts on Penn State and SMU? I mean, SMU had a great season, fell on a field goal at the last second in the ACC championship, which sounds crazy to say, and their reward is a trip to Happy Valley, and I'm sure it'll be cold up there as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another one of those venues, man. Playing up there is hard. That's a tough place to win, especially.
It's a tough place to get to.
Yeah, well,
start
that's true.
With.
It is, and it's one of those venues around college football. If you said, all right, these are the 5 or 6 places as an opposing team you don't want to play, that would be one for me. Having been there many times and seen games. Now the break, SMU gets a little bit of a break, as it's not a true night game or not a night game, but Penn State is James Franklin's been that classic coach. He's won a ton of games. They've been a perennial top 10, top 12, top 15 team, but they haven't been able to beat the teams, Michigan some years, Ohio State others, that are ranked the highest in the Big Ten. And he's caught, a lot of crap for it. But here's, again, this is the difference in now and then. He's got a chance now, Mo, to whereas he wouldn't have had this in a 14 playoff. He's got a chance now to go redeem himself. The program redeem themselves. If they can win at home, then they're in the Final Eight. Maybe they get another shot at Ohio State, or they get a shot at Oregon, or whoever, and get themselves into that Final Four. And then all of a sudden, nobody really is going to remember that he's, what is he, like 1-11 in his last 12 games against top 10 teams or something like that.
Not good.
Yeah. So this is a chance for him, that program, in the new world we live in with 12 teams in the playoff, to themselves and go do something that they haven't done, and that's win and or play for a title.
Chris Lowe, ESPN. We've got him, or we've had him. Chris, be safe heading up that way. And again, try to stay warm. I don't know how that's going to work for you, but
I will, Mo. I got my long johns, brother.
That has been the key for everybody we've talked to, and thank goodness you do. I'm going to be watching it from the best seat in my house, but we will see how it goes, man. We appreciate you taking some time with us, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Awesome stuff. Thank you.
All right. We are going to forego our final break of the day. We are going to roll straight into the Wonder Slate as Wade and I try to pick some games against the spread, both these college football playoff matchups and some bowl games. And man, again, I've struggled, but you know who else has struggled? Vegas has struggled, because from last week's slate, we had not one but two pushes, including today's Ohio 30, Jacksonville State 27 outcome, because the Bobcats were a 3-point favorite and we were both on that. And again, push. So with that, Wade.
It pays to shop around, Mo. If you got it at 3, you're either very happy that you got the push, or you're cursing that you had to settle for a push. But yes, we'll update our full records through the rest of the week. But yeah, we've got some games. We got games, and more games. And we're going to do this in reverse order. We'll get the lesser than bowls, if you will, out of the way before we get to the good stuff coming up in just a minute. So we kick it out. This will be next Friday, and it's the Birmingham Bowl. A couple of brainiacs going to duke it out on the gridiron. Does Georgia Tech cover 3 versus Vanderbilt down in Birmingham?
That's a heck of a question, because I mean, I think you're going to have a really inspired Diego Pavia for one thing, but man, this Georgia Tech team is good. We've seen them all year, starting over in Ireland against Florida State, and they've just kind of continued it. It pains me, but I'm going to go with the Yellow Jackets on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Picking against an inspired Pavia is not something I really like doing, but I think overall Georgia Tech is a little better team. And maybe even though they lost to Georgia right there at the end, I think maybe they're playing a little better football, especially if their quarterback goes. There's some concerns that he may
about Haynes King.
Still be dinged up. So we'll see if he goes. Full disclosure, I haven't been monitoring the injury report for any of these games. So buyer beware. We're both on Georgia Tech. Let's go to Saturday. Next Saturday, the 28th. We kickstart with the hottest bowl game around. I'm talking the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It'll capture everybody's imagination yet again. I'm sure of it. They're playing in Orlando, Florida. Number 18, Iowa State is taking on number 13, Miami. Mo, does a ticked-off Miami team cover 3?
You know, they should, for all the stuff that they talked after getting left out of the playoffs. So, yeah, give me the Hurricanes. Maybe they go old school and yeah, I like the Hurricanes in this one. You know, that's a working trophy now for the Pop-Tarts Bowl, right? The toaster?
As in, they put the guy in the, Mr. Pop-Tart. I don't know if that's how we refer to him as, but he was baked alive last year.
No, so, I think it actually pops Pop-Tarts, not Mr. Pop-Tart, but I think.
Okay. I see what you're saying. The actual, the team that wins. Okay, yeah. Because it's a weird situation there, because you feel like you're kind of watching a dirty movie or something when you see that guy go in the toaster like that. I'm taking Iowa State in this game. Miami kind of giving me vibes of Florida State last year. Yeah, we're big, we're bad, we should be in, and then feels like a stinker. Iowa State is a pretty good team. I'll take them +3. Don't got to win, just got to cover 3. Moving right along, had to pick this one. Who do you like in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl? They're playing out in Tucson. Miami, Ohio is favored by 3 over Colorado State.
Give me the Rams.
I'm taking Colorado State too. How could you go against a team from Colorado in the Snoop Dogg Bowl?
Boom.
Did you catch my drift?
Yes.
Loud. We're both on the Rams in that one. Speaking of Colorado, the Valero Alamo Bowl will also take place on the 28th. Number 23, Colorado is favored by 4.5, meeting BYU. Who do you like in this one?
I like the Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter, in this one. Give me the Buffs.
I'm going to take BYU. I know Colorado played some great ball down the stretch. I'm kind of just curious. In a way, to me, it feels like this is the game they got to almost, in a weird way, make sure they win to kind of really legitimize their whole season. I know that sounds twisted, but it kind of feels that way. And I just think BYU is a really strong, hard-nosed football team. I like them to cover as a 4.5-point underdog in this one. Monday, December 30th, game we played at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Iowa rolls into town. They take on number 19, Missouri. Mo, the Tigers of Missouri are favored by 3.
I've seen Iowa here. I've seen Iowa in other places, and I'm going to take Missouri.
Man, we're on opposite sides on a lot of these. We're setting up for a photo finish down the stretch here. I'm taking Iowa. They got something weird going on in the Music City. I know Kentucky didn't play half their team a couple years ago, but I think Iowa, even though Caleb Johnson, the stud back, is not going to rush for Iowa, I think they find a way to win an ugly game. And believe you me, it will be ugly, I think, in this one.
All right.
Iowa is my pick there. New Year's Eve, the ReliaQuest Bowl. They're playing it down in Tampa. It's a rematch of last year's Rose Bowl. Much different story this time, though. But Alabama, Mo, is favored by 11 versus my Michigan Wolverines.
11 feels like a lot of points to me, especially the way Michigan played against Ohio State. I'm going to take the Wolverines to cover here.
Man, I got to go against – I'm picking Alabama. It feels like they're not – Michigan's got a slew of guys that are sitting out to get ready for the draft. They got a lot of excitement and buzz coming in for next year. I feel like they've already done what they wanted to do and beaten Ohio State. I think Alabama, as long as they don't implode, finds a way to cover 11. We'll see about that. Let's get to the big games, though, before we close out. Give me tonight's game. Notre Dame is favored by 7, Mo.
I'm going to take Indiana to cover. I think Notre Dame probably wins it, but it's closer than 7.
Oh, Daddy, this is going to be a fun revisit next week because I'm taking the Irish. We could be looking at a push, but I think Notre Dame covers 7 tonight in this one. Trio of games tomorrow. We start at 11 a.m. SMU is an 8.5-point underdog in Happy Valley.
I think Penn State has to win this game, and I think they have to cover, or else things get really hot for James Franklin, I think. Give me the Nittany Lions.
I'm taking Penn State. You know, they say James Franklin can't win big games. Well, based on the other playoff games, this one is maybe the least talked about. So this maybe doesn't even qualify as a big game.
That's a big game, right?
Yeah, so I'll take Penn State with those parameters in place there. Final 2. Does Clemson cover as a 12-point underdog down in Austin tomorrow?
No.
Man.
Taking the Longhorns.
Something's up with Clemson. I like their vibe and their energy a little bit. Texas wins the game, but Clemson finds a way to cover. They lose by 10. In my opinion. Biggest game of the week in our area. Tennessee, Ohio State in the Horseshoe, approximately 4 degrees. It'll be freezing. Does Ohio State cover 7.5, Mo?
Nope. And there may be a little homerish going here, but I'm taking the Vols to at least cover, if not win outright.
I'm picking the Buckeyes. Clip this out and save it forever and ever. I wish this line was 6.5, but I'll take him at 7.5. I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it, obviously, just like everybody else.
There we go. That is the Wonder Slate. That is the weekend warm-up. That is Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will see y'all Monday at 2 o'clock. Have a great weekend.